Hello, everyone. We're going to stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, sorry I'm tardy. I was talking to the Boy Scout troop. But looking for roll call, please. For
Carlson. Here. Desmond.
Here.
Bergbauer.
Here.
Logley.
Here.
McDonald.
Here.
Hugh.
Present.
Sheehan.
Here.
We have a quorum.
okay. Pastor Carroll's here. Open us up.
Pray with me, please. Dear God, I ask for wisdom and peace and grace on the city council as they interact with each other and as they interact with the city, Lord. Thankful for them. I pray for wisdom, peace, and grace for our state and our country. Lord, I especially ask for wisdom, peace, and grace for the countries in conflict right now around the world. Lord, thank you for this council. Thank you for our city departments. Thank you for our city first responders. And Lord, I ask that you would continue to guide them and be in the midst of every conversation as they move our city towards the future. In your son's name, amen.
Thank you, Bill. All right, my friends. Anything on liaison reports tonight?
Yes.
Joanne, please.
Do you want to take it? Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. Yes, I just want to remind everyone that we are in full bloom of the beautification recognition. We have applicants that have sent in their pictures and of their homes, and we will be recognizing those folks in our next meeting, which is November 15th, I believe. But we still want more applicants. I know there's a lot of beautiful places that have been decorating for Halloween and for the fall, and we want you all to participate. Don't forget, we have first, second, and third place winners, that we have started. And of course, everyone will be recognized on TV at our next meeting. So please get your neighbors motivated to bring in their applications, because we'd love to be able to recognize them.
All right. Thanks as always, Joanne, for organizing that. All right. Anybody else?
Just a reminder, leaf pickup is ongoing. It'll go until weather says it's not. We will make numerous passes through the town. We don't know exactly when we'll be in each subdivision. So if we missed you one day, don't think you're done. We will probably be back, most likely. It does go until it's a full snow and we really can't pick them up anymore. And also, when you rake your leaves, just put them out to the curb, not into the street. Just a reminder on that. And for those people who do have yard waste through waste management, then you also have that going till the first week of December is their final pickup. So just a reminder on those.
Okay. Very good. And then, anybody else? All good? Okay. I do have a proclamation to read tonight. You know, we do these infrequently, but I'm going to do this one because we're a Tree City, USA, so I'll read it for today. So, official proclamation, whereas in 1872, the Nebraska Board of Agriculture established a special day to be set aside for the planting of trees, and this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And trees can be a solution to combating climate change, reducing erosion of our topsoil by wind and water, cutting heating and cooling costs, moderating the temperature, cleaning the air, producing life-giving oxygen, and providing habitat for wildlife. Trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for homes and fuel for our fires, countless other wood products. And trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And wherever they are planted, they are a source of joy and renewal. So I therefore, Stephen Streit, Mayor, City of Lockport, proclaim November 1st, 2023 as Arbor Day in the city of Lockport. I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And looking for motion for approval. We all good with this? Yep. All right, approved. So today's November 1st, Arbor Day. All right, my friends. We'll jump on into our agenda then. So first thing is I'm looking for a motion for a consent agenda.
Motion. Second.
All right, Renee and Pat, all in favor? Aye. Okay, so we're looking for approval for our regular city council meeting minutes from October 18th, committee of the whole meeting minutes from October 18th, our bills through October 24th, our payroll period ending October 15th, concept plan for the 148-unit townhome development located north of 151st, west of I-55, Resolution 23095. We're looking for approval for the special use permit for the planned development of limiting manufacturing with over on Prime Boulevard. And then we've got the release of a bond and initial acceptance of site improvements for Thornton's, Lockport, and then accept a proposal from Chamlin Associates for the preliminary engineering services for the I-171 channelization project. So we're looking for approval for all of those.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, that was
Jonathan.
Jonathan and JR. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, we got to do roll call, sorry.
All right, yes. Bartleson.
Yes?
Yes.
Birdbauer.
Yes.
Yes.
McDonald.
Yes. Yes.
Sheehan.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. Let's, bum, here it is, facades. Let's move CA1 and CA2 to the end, and then let's jump to AT1. So looking for a motion to approve AT1, which is appeal by the Lockport Moose to use the brick instead of the marble. So looking for a motion to approve Resolution 23101.
So moved.
So moved.
Okay, we've got Pat and Christina.
Me.
Oh, Jonathan, sorry. You guys all sound the same over there. Somebody's got to make up a voice. Please, thank you, John. Do the Mickey Mouse voice, man. All right, so I think we came back, those prices were really high, so is there any other concerns about this? Are we okay with moving forward with the
For
brick?
the black brick and
Yes.
black mortar. Okay.
6K instead of the 48.
Yeah, it was a big price difference, so, okay. Then we'll look for a roll call then?
So just to clarify, this is item 821. There's a motion to approve Resolution 23-101 to reverse the city's H&A Commission's decision. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh, I see, I got two different ones here. Yeah, so that's the reverse of the decision. So we're good with reversing the decision on Resolution 23-101. So a roll call, please, on that, Kathy?
Okay, I just wanted to, okay, I'm following. Hold on.
Yeah, sorry, I actually, I didn't realize it was split into two.
That's all right, I'm good. Okay, Saban.
Yes.
Bartleson.
Yes?
Baskin.
Yes.
Birdbauer.
Yes.
Delogli.
Yes.
McDonald.
Yes.
Hugh.
Yes.
Sheehan.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, so the next one is CD1, and this is actually the facade grant approval for $6,000 for the replacement of the marble with the black brick and black mortar, so.
I'll make that
looking for-
motion.
Okay, JR,
Second.
seconded by Pat. Do a roll call, please.
You got it. Saban. Yes. Bartleson.
Yes?
Deskin.
Yes.
Birdbauer.
Yes.
Delogli.
Yes.
McDonald.
Yes.
Hugh.
Yes.
Sheehan.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, next is, we're looking for a motion to approve Resolution 23091, which is redevelopment agreement with 4 Real Estate Holdings for the development and economic incentive to construct a 3-story building with apartments and commercial units at 923 South State. So, is there anything new on this? Okay, so we're looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
And JR. So the last thing, I guess, is it still has to go to H&A, and they'll look at any facade nuances. Is that correct?
Yeah, they are currently trying to work with ComEd to identify the power lines that are along the back property line, see whether or not they can be buried, see whether they can be put on a mast arm to be further out, because that'll impact the location of the back edge of their building. Once they finalize that, then we'll take them in front of H&A, and then they'll go through the conventional site plan.
Just curious about that. If ComEd is open to burying it, would it just be power lines buried and then power lines again, or is it?
If it's at their cost, it would be.
Okay, all right, got it.
It's unlikely that they will allow them to bury them. We're hoping, I think, to get a mast arm to carry them out
Yeah.
into the Commerce Street right away further,
All right. All right,
similar to what it is in other spots along Commerce Street.
all right. So if there's no other thoughts, we'll do a roll call.
You got it. Saban?
Yes.
Bartleson?
Yes?
Bergbauer?
Yes.
Sorry, Deskin?
Yes.
Ugalogly?
Yes.
McDonald?
Yes.
Hugh?
Yes.
Sheehan?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, and we have, looking for a motion to approve Resolution 23097, a license agreement for the use and occupancy of the northern portion of Salem Lane for business to be located at the northwest of Salem Lane and Prime Boulevard, Prime Business Park. This is that little extra bit of road there that we're going to work with them on. So, looking for a motion on that.
So moved.
Like Jonathan and
Renee.
Renee, all right. Was there any other thoughts or concerns about this one? Okay, then we'll do a roll call.
You got it. Saban? Yes. Bartleson?
Yes?
Deskin?
Yes.
Bergbauer?
Yes.
Ugalogly?
Yes.
McDonald?
Yes.
Hugh?
Yes.
Sheehan?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. Then let's jump back to CA1. So we're looking for a motion to approve Resolution 23034 for the water sewer rates. So we're looking for that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, so Darren and JR, a very thorough discussion about it and layout of how it works last meeting. Was there any further questions or concerns on it? All right, then we'll do roll call, please.
All right. Saban? Yes. Bartleson?
Yes?
Deskin?
Yes.
Bergbauer?
Yes.
Ugalogly?
Yes.
McDonald?
Yes.
Hugh?
Yes.
Sheehan?
No.
Motion passes.
All right, and then we're looking for a motion for Resolution 23035, which is an amendment to the city code to add 1% to the sales tax in the city of Lockport. So we're looking for a motion for that. This is, well, go ahead. Renee?
Second.
Second by JR. So this is for capital improvements. It's designated for that. Anything else? Any further questions, thoughts, concerns on this? Okay. Then we're looking for a roll call.
You got it. Saban? Yes. Bartleson?
Yes?
Deskin?
Yes.
Bergbauer?
Yes.
Ugalogly?
Yes.
McDonald?
Yes.
Hugh?
Yes.
Sheehan?
No.
Motion passes.
All right, my friends. Anything under new business? Anybody got anything?
I did forget to announce that the girl from Lockport, Olivia Minogue, has gone through 2 rounds at The Voice. She first of all made it through blind auditions, and then last night she won her battle, so she's moving into the knockout round. So,
That's really cool, man.
I propose that before you make announcements about that, you say spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert! Oh, yeah,
Ears.
yeah.
Over.
Jonathan had it TiVo'd. He was gonna go watch. Yeah. Yeah. That's how bad I am at that. Yeah. I didn't even know what that is. It's like on demand. All right, my friend. So if there's nothing else for that city council, then we're looking for a motion to adjourn.
So be it.
All right. We got Joanne and Patrick McDonald. All in favor?
aye. Joanne and Pat McDonald.
Joanna?
All right. So all in favor? Yeah.
Aye.
All right, so next, when you're ready, Kathy, just a roll call for committee of the whole. Okay, so the first thing on the agenda is, oh gosh, I thought you already did.
All right, so Saban? Yep, still here. Bartleson?
Here?
Deskin?
Here.
Bergbauer?
Here.
Ugalogly?
Here.
McDonald?
Here.
Hugh?
Here.
Sheehan?
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. All right, so first thing on the agenda is terminating a pre-annexation agreement with Big Run Development and its adjacent parcels. So just a little background on this, I know for some of the newer members. So if you look at the map over there, in the upper left, there's a box, right? Right on, it's like Vanna. So there's a box. That has been a disputed territory between Romeoville and Lockport since, the beginning of boundary agreements. And most people don't know this, but historically, Romeoville was founded on this side of the canal on that upper corner. But the way the world worked is that they grew on the other side of the river, out and up and down. So that has been disputed a little bit. A while back, the Mikan family wanted to sell Big Run Golf Course and move on with their lives, and they were looking to develop it. And Romeoville was having difficulty, although they had a better claim to it because of the original boundary agreements, they just could not run water and sewer there. So then I was getting a little worried because there were some rumors floating around that okay, if you can't run water and sewer for a housing development, how about we do warehousing? And I'm like, I don't want a bunch of Romeoville warehouses up there. So the city told the Mikan family, we'll run water and sewer if it means we can at least keep it housing. I'd rather not see it developed at all, but if it's got to be developed, we'll try to. So we came up with an annexation agreement to do that. But then something interesting happened. Citgo looked at purchasing the property because they wanted to keep it open. And the reason they want to keep it open is for safety reasons, in case there's ever an explosion at Citgo, or in case, people are living there and they claim, I got cancer because the fumes are wafting or whatever. They just thought it'd be better if we purchased it from the Mikan family and left it open, which was great. And so what they've done is they've told the Mikan family that they can continue to do Big Run Golf Course for a number of years. And maybe they'll find an operator after the Mikan family retires, I don't know. But after that, they're looking at working with the Forest Preserve and the county to just leave it open lands. And so I think that's actually the best possible use. It's beautiful property, hills, mature oak trees. I think having done anything else up there other than leaving it as is would have been a shame. So I'm very glad that this is the way it worked out. It's a tough course, is it? Yeah. So now tonight, what Citgo has asked us is that they're, in order to close the deal with the Mikan family, we needed to terminate the pre-annexation agreement we had with the Mikan family so that they could go ahead and, make the purchase and leave it as is incorporated. So that's the deal. Am I missing something? I'm sorry, I probably took all your thunder, Lance.
You did a pretty good job.
Okay. What did I miss on that one?
Just approving Resolution 23-100 to continue to disengage from the pre-annexation agreement. It was only going to trigger if additional annexations happen. Those didn't occur, so really it's just a private agreement between two parties, and both the parties agree to terminate, and so we'll do that with your approval.
Okay.
Is there still some ambiguity about the property boundary between Romeoville and?
Yeah, I guess that's
It's
the
still
last thing.
undetermined. It's still undetermined.
Yeah.
So as you mentioned, that area, really, in order to do any development there, you have to be able to serve it with utilities. Lockport could serve it for maybe 4 or 5 million. The topography up there is not very conducive to sewer. Lamont is precluded from serving. That would be the most logical choice because we have a boundary agreement with them that we've renewed in recent years for another 20 years, and so we won't allow any development to happen from the north. Romeoville is the only other municipality that has technically a right to possibly do something there, but for them to bring utilities over the bridge was in excess of 10 or 12 million, so no developer is going to pay for that, and the city of Romeoville's not going to do it either to get something there, so.
Will it, as far as you know, remain unannexed then? Like it will just remain in unincorporated?
It is unincorporated. It will remain that way unless we continue to grow in that way at some point in the future, but I don't foresee it. And it has a Lockport mailing address already. It's affiliated with Lockport more, even though you're correct that the history of Romeoville was there. And funny thing is, Lockport used to be over where Romeoville, Lewis University used to be. So, we've traded that. But at the end of the day, it will still remain a golf course for a few years until and Citgo has pledged to work with us in their open lands plan and green space and We think it's a great win for everybody, right? And the Mikan family has wanted to retire and move on to greener pastures, and they're going to have help them out while they have this disengagement, and they have a letter of intent to close hopefully by the end of the year. So.
Okay.
Thanks, Ben.
All right, we good with consent on that?
Yeah, that'd be great, because if it goes to consent, then we'll approve it, we'll have you sign it, and we'll have it recorded, and then we'll be done by the end of the month.
All right, sounds good. Next is AT1. Sonny, you want to give us the heads up on what this is about?
Yes, Mayor, members of the City Council, I have before you the revised version of ordinance number 23-033. So just briefly as a background, this is the Paid Leave for All Workers Act that the governor signed and will be in effect January 1, 2024, although the IML is trying to move that target to July 1, 2024. But it's supposed to cover all employees with paid leave for a 12-month period. The exception is that, school districts are exempt, park districts are exempt, any employees governed by the collective bargaining agreements are exempt. And the second part is that there's no provision on the act that specifically states a home rule municipality is precluded from, exempting itself out. So there's a strong argument that as a home rule municipality that we can exempt, ourselves out of the act. It's a good act, but unfortunately for our public body like the city of Lockport, we have police, we have public works. They are, they're called to respond to services, and, if this act applied to the city, then we would have employees who could take the leave without basically any cause. And if it's an unforeseeable leave, they can do it without any notice, and that puts the city at a bind in providing consistent, needed services. Therefore, it is recommended passing this ordinance that would not only preclude, exempt the city of Lockport out of this act, but also codify the Leave Act that the city has already in its personnel policy and also under the bargaining agreements. And right now, there are paid leave and sick leave that are afforded to our employees that are comparable or equal to what's provided under the act. And this will be something that will not only protect the city into the future, but to ensure that we continue the services at the level that we should be providing. If there's any questions, I would be more than happy to entertain them.
Sonny, I got a quick question. When it comes to the police department, aren't they, you just said that they're covered under the CBA, so this wouldn't apply to them, correct?
Yes, but we're basically like trying to put all protections, just in case if there's any interpretation that it would, supersede the agreement. So basically, the act has a provision that states that if there's any ordinance that covers paid leave prior to the, enforcement of the act that comes in effect in January 1, that will be superseding. So we can't, for instance, some of the unions may argue later on after January 1, well, you didn't have an ordinance codifying what we had in our bargaining agreement. Therefore, we have additional leave in addition to what's covered under our bargaining agreement. So this kind of protects the city from that argument, and hopefully that, what we provide under the collective bargaining agreement that we negotiated as two parties, that would be sufficient, and it is more than sufficient. It's more than what the act provides.
I think we've always had good, honest discussions with our unions here in town, and I think we've come to good agreements. So this just basically keeps the state out of that and lets us negotiate with our people. And it's been adequate and good, and everybody seems happy with that, so.
Ben, what is the for a starting employee in the city of Lockport that's not in the union? Is there a base paid time off?
For vacation, 2 weeks, yeah, for a
Okay.
full-time employee, 3 weeks for a department head.
All right. Thanks.
All right, any other questions on that? Is everybody okay with consent on this?
Could we do action?
You want to do an
Mayor,
action?
action, please.
Action. And then next is PW1. So what do you got, Brent?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. One item on the agenda this evening This is in regards to our next SDP project, so that Surface Transportation Program grant funding is what we'd be, what we're discussing this evening. Currently, our project Illinois 7 channelization, which council is very well versed on, is funded through this same mechanism, through the STP grant funding process. We're asking for council's consideration to move forward for the next call for projects, which is in 2024. We would be asking to move forward with a request for our New Avenue and Illinois 171 Archer Road intersection to be included. That project will include some widening, signalization, a nice right turn lane, so as you're coming southbound on New Avenue, rather than stopping the way that it's currently, which is kind of a skewed intersection. Transition through the intersection is very difficult. This would fix all of that, remedy all of that. So this project would be, again, it would be a project that we're looking forward. This is not a project that we have currently designed. It's not a project that we're asking for any construction dollars today. We're simply asking for council's concurrence that if this project were to be selected within the program, that we would provide the 20%. So STP is an 80-20 grant. This project is estimated to be a $4 million job, which means the city would put up $800,000 for the actual construction. Phase 1 has been completed. Phase 2, it is in our 2024 budget. So the Phase 2, the actual design, will be completed in 2024. So again, this will be construction only. And we're asking for council's consideration to approve resolution number 23-103. And this would be essentially setting aside $800,000 that would be used if we were to receive the STP grant in the amount of $4 million.
Questions, thoughts, concerns?
Are the red lines on the plan where the signals are in the direction they're pointing?
Those are, yes. Yep.
Thanks.
Yep.
We did do this, was it last year or 2 years ago, when we submitted the same thing. We were not awarded the grant, but we were awarded kind of second place, so we think that doing the next Phase 2 would hopefully get us some more points. We've also engaged another agency in the area to see if they want to partner on it to try to get some more points in our application, so we'll see.
All right. You guys okay with consent, or you need an action? Consent's all right? All right, consent it is.
Thank you.
And lastly, Lisa, it's your moment to shine.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to start by thanking all the department heads initially in helping me to get this budget presented into the place that we are today. It takes a lot of effort, starts back in June, and really need everybody to engage, and they all did. So very grateful for all their help, and then also for council in meeting with Ben and I in our 2x2 by ward sessions, and a lot of good feedback, a lot of good discussion, and that really brings us to the point that we're here to present this to the public. So here's a summary by fund of revenues and expenses. $61 million of revenue, and you'll see $81 million of expense. Now, I want to point out that this is not a structural deficit. This is not an operating deficit. We are using excess reserves. So we still have our fund balance policy in place, which are 4 months of prior year expenses, or 30% of the prior year expenses in the water department. So those are still intact, but these are reserves that we've accumulated either through conservative budgeting, annual surplus, controlled expenses by departments, and them not spending down their budgets every year, and new development. Because we don't budget for new development to come in, so that we don't rely on that money for operations, it then helps us to fund our capital projects. So we'll talk about the capital projects in a little bit, but I just wanted to show that we're using $20 million of reserves to be able to accomplish the projects that we're doing. You'll see in the next line that says surplus and deficit that there are no deficits. So use of reserves is the excess cash that we have, but there is no actual deficit there. And then we still have that last column showing you that there's still a wee little bit of excess reserves left that we could use in future years. This is something new I wanted to go through. This is total city, so the entire city's budgeted revenue, $61.5 million for next year. And I wanted to show you how it's broken down. Water and sewer revenue makes up 29%, $17 million of our revenue. State and local taxes, $16 million, so that's sales tax, gasoline tax, electric tax, video gaming, all of those lumped into that category. The next one is real estate tax, which makes up 14% of this year's budget. Grants and donations, that's $8 million. Those are two really big grants that we have for next year. The ARPA funds that we intend to use for the Briggs Street lift station, that project's going to carry over. So we started it in this year, but it will not complete until next year. So that grant money is then going to be used next year. And then also the money that the state's going to pay to do the IL-7 channelization next year. And then finally, development fees. So that includes not just building permits, but it's also developer reimbursements for things that they're putting in an infrastructure for us, the engineering review fees and inspection fees that we get, and also the impact fees. Of those that I have listed here, that makes up 87% of our revenues in just those categories.
That does include the projections that we passed earlier today?
Yes, yes. Mhm. And here's how the expenses of $81.5 million are broken down. So you'll see 50% of it is going to capital. So that's a really big number, and Brent's probably like, where's that $40 million coming from? That's not what we have. So we passed out to everybody, and it was also discussed at the last council meeting that we were doing $34 million of projects next year. On top of that is the $5 million that we're carrying over from the Briggs Street lift station. So we have some carryover projects that won't finish this year, will be spent next year, and then also some equipment purchases. So that brings us to the $40 million that we're to spend. So 50% of our budget next year is in capital and construction. The next section is $17.8 million of payroll and related expenses, so that's 22% of our budget. Looking at it this way is a total overall. Professional fees of 9%, building and equipment maintenance another 6%, and then debt payments about $2.5 million next year for 3% of our budget. So this is kind of striking. When I looked at this, you can see this year, this $81 million, that's unlike anything we've spent, right? As I showed you just in the last slide, 50% of our budget is coming from the capital expenditure. So you'll see next year is a very, very large capital expenditure year for us, and then you see the years after that it drops back down more in relation to where we were at in the last few years. So it really is that $8 million of grant money that we have, the excess reserves that we're using, just the difference of capital from this year to next year is $24 million. That's the extra. So, you know, there's a lot going on next year, but a lot of it is because of the big IL-7 project for the channelization and these other grants that we're using. This is just general fund. So just to break down what our revenues look like in the general fund, you can see 32% are coming from real estate taxes. I'll note that last year it was 36%. So our reliance on property taxes are going down, and what did go up is the state income tax. So our share last year of income tax was 19%. It's up to 23% because the state has changed their formula again of how much they're giving us. So it's helping us to put a little bit less reliance on real estate tax, which is one of our strategic initiatives. If you remember when we passed our strategic plan, our hope was that we were going to reduce our property tax rate by 10% over the next 3 years. That's the way this budget was prepared, was again to do that. We'll talk about that further in 2 weeks when I present the property tax levy to you all. Here's the breakdown of expenses by department. The police department is by far our largest department at 45%, planning department at 6%, public works and engineering 20%, transfers 13%. So we are taking some of those excess revenues from the general fund and we're sending it to the capital fund to help to fund those projects. Here's a little bit further breakdown on just general fund expenses to show you that in our general fund, the majority of our expenses are coming from payroll and related expenses at 60%. And then it drops down to 13% for professional fees, the transfer that I told you about to the capital fund, and then the other line items that are there. So I wanted to talk about some of the budget changes, some things that were different from this year to last year. You'll see the column on the left are increases to revenue and expenses, and on the right side are decreases to revenue expense. And I'm just going to talk about a few. I did just mention to you about the income tax that the state is giving us additional funds for. So that's an increase in the revenue. The sales tax and home rule sales tax that was just passed at the earlier this evening on the new home rule sales tax increase. The grants that I just told you guys about, the $8 million that we were using in grants, and then also the increase in the water sewer rates. On the expense side, wages and benefits have increased in accordance with our union contracts. Events and marketing, this is an area that through our strategic plan, council decided that we wanted to do more for our public and doing more events and marketing. So we added some additional expenses in to be able to help out with that. We have tax rebate incentives, so these are tax rebates to the hotel, to Lockport Square, and the sales tax, and some of the gas stations that we have given agreements to. So those have increased this year because of those going up, and then also the car dealership. Something new is the body cameras. The city is required to have body cameras installed for our police department before the end of 2024. So I think in the next meeting or so, the police will be bringing to you an agenda item for the purchase of those body cameras, so we are in compliance with the state of Illinois' requirements. We also have some facade and code compliance grants, and we have set-asides for the Mary Knoll development on the north side of Archer, hoping that they will go back and invest some more into that facility there, so we've had some set-asides there. Native plantings, that was a presentation we had just a few weeks ago talking about plantings that we want to do here and around different places for sustainability and keeping the city with things that are not taking so much water to be planted. Tornado sirens, the police department did a study and they determined that we weren't getting as appropriate coverage for the tornado sirens, so they asked us for some money to move those sirens around to have better coverage. So there's some funds set aside for that, and that's one-time money. And then we have an increase to the contract for sludge removal. They just went out for bid and found that those were coming in a little bit higher than we've been paying. So those are the changes that are on the increase. Now on the decrease side, from a revenue perspective, we're expecting with the heavy spend of excess revenues of $20 million next year that our interest income is going to be less, and that's pretty obvious. Not only that, we do expect in the next couple of years that the interest rate will start to come back down. At least we hope that it will, and that's under the Fed Reserve. PPRT is a revenue that we have that we get from the state of Illinois, and the state has informed us that they had given us too much money over the last couple of years, and they're going to be taking that money back from us. So we're going to start to see a decline in that revenue over the next couple of years to get that back in line again. The tower revenue, you won't see that anymore because we did sell off those towers this year. So we took that lump sum money, which is still sitting in our reserves. We have not earmarked that money for anything, so that's still sitting in reserves, but we will not have that annual revenue coming in anymore. And then you'll see a decrease in bond proceeds because we are not taking on any bonds in the next year, no debt at all. And then you'll see a decrease in water and sewer equipment because that department has decided that there was no equipment that they were going to be able to obtain for next year. So this brings us back to the capital projects. So this $34.1 million I have is what ties to the detailed sheets that you would receive from Brent. And we discussed at the last council meeting. And then we also have that $5.5 million of carryover. So it's water main and road reconstruction, it's work on the sewer treatment plant, stormwater, ongoing maintenance of sidewalks and resurfacing, and then some projects that we're just going to engineer. And then I just want to remind everybody the funding sources for that, for those projects are home rule sales tax, electric tax, telecom, transfers from the general fund, the gasoline tax, impact fees, annexation fees, and then also the grants. Here's a list of equipment and building expenses that we intend to do next year. So we usually try to buy, some pickup trucks and plow trucks. We have this kind of stage out over a number of years in a replacement so that we're not replacing all of our equipment at the same time, and we can manage those expenses. So you can see the list of the items that we intend to purchase in the next year. So moving forward, what's going to happen at the next council meeting, we'll have our public hearing, and we'll also do the property tax levy presentation. And then at the first meeting in December, we'll be looking for council to approve both the budget and the property tax levy. So just to summarize again, we're looking at 61 million of revenue, 81 million of expense, which is funded by the $20 million of use of excess reserves. Everything's balanced citywide from a operational standpoint. We are just spending down excess reserves that we have to be able to fund the extra capital projects we have. Any questions?
Very good. Thank you.
Well done, as always. Thank you for meeting with, council members 2 by 2 and taking the time to, dig deep into this. I appreciate all the hard work.
Yep, no problem.
All right, so informational, and we'll get more as we move on in the next couple of meetings. All right, thanks again, Lisa. Appreciate your hard work. All right, my friends, I guess that's everything, right? All right, so if there's nothing else, we'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, Joanne and Patrick, all in favor? Aye. Jonathan, you're supposed to use that voice, man. That's on you, bro. Okay.